forward. And here we go.
Good.
Welcome everyone to our webinar on business opportunity. We are so glad to have you with us here today. We're excited to have a follow-up to our last conversation that we had on problem identification. As you know, we're going to be reviewing different lessons from the Young Entrepreneur Pitch Toolkit. So this is a business opportunity session. So just some background information. I'm Liz Nuskin. I am with the Ohio Afterschool Network, or OAN. We're a statewide organization that works with out-of-school time providers throughout the state of Ohio, such as libraries, school-based after-school programs, YMCAs, Boys and Girls Clubs, and many other organizations. And we bring awesome resources like the one that we're doing today. And we do professional development and networking and policy work to make sure that all of Ohio's children have access to high quality and affordable out-of-school time programs.
Good morning, and I'm Kelly Bigger with the Young Entrepreneur Institute, joined by my colleague Robin Eisen, who you will meet just in a little bit. And just to give you an idea, we believe that every child should understand and learn entrepreneurship. So here at the Young Entrepreneur Institute, we are located in Northeast Ohio. We have a lot of great resources for kids in grades K through 12. You can see a smattering here on the screen. We have research that you're welcome to delve into on our website. We just had an awesome Inspire conference, which will continue in November and December. And we would love to send you the information on Inspire, but last year we had just under 600 people in person, and this year we are doing it virtually. It's free of charge. We have awesome speakers, workshops, mini grants, so we will pass that information along to you. We also have a speakers bureau here in Northeast Ohio, and being that we are all on Zoom, many of them will Zoom to you and speak to your class or after school program. We have something called Power Hours, and Robin maybe can give a little pitch for that. We have one coming up this Thursday at 4 o'clock. We orchestrate young entrepreneur markets here in the Northeast Ohio area, are happy to help you with them in your area, but we pay for the space. We have a cute tent with polka dots on it, and kids can have a real live selling experience, selling their products that they make to adults. We also have the Lemonade Day license in Northeast Ohio. Happy to connect you with that. And we have the Pitch Challenge, which we will tell you more about. And we are also available to consult. So anything that you would like to talk about, we have tons of resources on our resource page, lots of things that can be done virtually, distance learning. So feel free to check those out and call us if you'd like an appointment to talk about an entrepreneurship program that you're doing in your program.
All right, and you'll get to hear more from Robin in a little bit. She's really our expert in terms of facilitating these lessons. So just a little bit of review from our last session. So we are reviewing the different lessons in the Young Entrepreneur Pitch Toolkit, which is free. It has lessons for students K through 12, and it can be developed, it can be delivered in as many as 5 45-minute sessions. And in the meeting reminder for today, I did send you a link to that Young Entrepreneur Pitch Toolkit. Hopefully you had a chance to download that and check it out. So just for review, there are 5 different lessons in the Pitch Toolkit. Last time we focused on the problem idea, the problem identification. This time we are talking about the business opportunity lesson. So, I need to scooch back a little bit. Okay, so when we talked about problem identification, we talked about modification of 10 uses for a shoe, and we used leaves as an example, so 10 uses for leaves. And we had a lot of fun with that idea, thinking about different things that we could do for leaves, brainstorming that. And then the next thing we did was the main event part of that lesson, where we reviewed 3 different ways to come up with and identify problems. So for the folks who were on that call last time, or maybe if you took a peek at the toolkit, Can anyone name one of those strategies that we reviewed, those 3 strategies? And you can unmute yourself and just say out loud what that is, or you can put it in the chat box, and Kelly's going to keep an eye on the chat box for me. This was 2 weeks ago. Hopefully people's brains are kicking into gear. This is starting to sound familiar.
Yeah, trying to reflect on what we did so that we can build on it. Does anybody remember what we did or how we came up with our problems? Don't be shy.
I remember we walked around the room.
Excellent.
Yay!
Yay.
Awesome. That's right. So that was one of the 3 strategies. One of them was walk around the room and look for problems that could be addressed. We did the other 2 are day in the life and then scamper. And then next we came up with a list of problems that impact those of us working in the out of school time field. And so on the right here, I think one of us took a picture with our cell phone. You can see us at the bottom. Those are some of the issues that we came up with affecting the after school time field, particularly some of these I think maybe have to do with working remotely with students. And we're going to actually work off of this list a little bit later today. And then we delved deeper. We went through a little exercise to help us understand the value of like thinking and rethinking about those problems and thinking about them more deeply. Can anybody remember what that exercise was that we did to demonstrate the value of digging deeper? I'll give you a little hint. It involved a video that Robin showed. It was a brain made us use our brains. It involved geometry.
I guess it wasn't that impactful. If you guys don't remember it, maybe when we say it, you'll be like, oh yeah. Anybody remember watching a video about geometry and counting?
Vaguely. It feels like a year ago. So much
Yes.
happened since
I know
then.
2 weeks
So
feels like a
sorry.
year ago.
I'm even looking through my notes to see what we did.
Didn't we count the squares?
Casey
Yeah.
said we counted the squares.
Yes.
Was that
Woo!
Casey?
Got it.
It's all
Casey.
coming back now.
Yeah.
So exactly. Good job, Casey. We did that exercise counting squares in that video. All right. And then the last thing that we did is we did a pitch practice. And our friend Laura Ferguson from Norwood, Ohio, actually did a quick little pitch for La Rosa's Family Pizzeria in Norwood, Ohio. So those are kind of the 3 main elements that continue through all these lessons, but we just want to do a little refresher of what we did last time. Okay. Has anybody, I'm guessing that nobody has facilitated this lesson yet. Is that the case?
Correct.
Absolutely.
All right, so hopefully you guys are getting geared up to do it. And maybe it'll help you now seeing what the next lesson is that follows on that first lesson to help you feel more comfortable and prepared to facilitate the this entrepreneurship curriculum. All right, so today with the business opportunity, the whole idea behind this lesson is to kind of think differently, think outside the box. Let me look and see. I think I have I do. So when we say thinking outside the box, sometimes we do this exercise with the 9 dots where we ask you to connect all 9 dots without lifting your pen off of the paper with, I think, what is it, 3 or 4 straight lines? 4 straight lines. Thank you, Robin. So hopefully you remember that. And that exercise kind of forces us to think outside that white box. To successfully do that, your lines need to kind of go way outside the line. So I'm going to show a couple little videos instead of doing this 9-dot exercise, which you could do with your students. There's some great videos on YouTube that explain this exercise. We're going to show you some fun videos to help you think about thinking outside the box. So I think I need to stop my share. Let me go over to this video. Maybe you've seen it. Oh wait, hold on a second. I need to click a box. This video is kind of a fun way to get people thinking about the importance of thinking outside the box.
Could have sworn the treasure was right here.
I found something.
Oh, that's what that symbol meant.
You know, instead of hiding our money, it'd be better if there was a place that'll hold it for you safely. Oh, you could take little bits out when you wanted.
How would they know it's yours?
Eventually, somebody has a better idea.
Oh, you could have a little card with your name on it. Everyone can have secret passwords. I love secrets.
Like simple mobile plans with no contracts. And
Everybody seen that before? So at one time, thinking, hey, Robin,
Yeah.
explain why a bank is such a crazy idea while I figure out how to get onto my next.
Okay. So the idea there is long ago, before we had banks, when people used to literally hide their money, that was what they would do. They would hide their money until someone thought of a better way. Now you skip forward a lot of generations, but now we have banks that actually have cash, and we're having another sort of renaissance in the financial industry where we're not even using cash anymore. We're using things like Venmo and financial apps. Someone has come up with a better way. Someone found a different, better way to disrupt and innovate in the financial industry. And all of these are new creative business ideas that have been put into place, and some of us might not even think about it. Some of us, I think the majority of us, you know, when we were growing up, we didn't have things like Venmo and FinMango and some of these other financial opportunities and digital phone transfers of money that our kids are thinking is second nature. So it's just a new, better way. And I thought Spectrum did a really great job with sort of making that into like a little bit of a comedy thought as to, you know, oh yeah, like it might have sounded like a really bad idea back then. But in reality, it wasn't. It was a really good idea.
All right, and then let me show this other second video, another Spectrum video that's similarly entertaining and gets us to think differently.
Hey. Hi. How are you? Good evening. Whew. So, what's the plan?
You jump in there, the drought ends, and then the crops grow.
Everyone's happy. Right. Okay. What if instead we built some sort of system that would get the water from the river down to the fields? Like with tubes or something?
A gravity-driven water distribution network.
Yes! Huh?
You got it here?
No.
Oh. Well, everybody walked all the way up here, so...
Go on! Get on with it!
In you go.
Yeah, no, you're right. I liked him.
You like everyone.
Well, I'm a people person.
So that one, I think, also shows that just because your idea isn't chosen and you didn't win, like the guy who jumped into the volcano, doesn't mean that you were wrong or that you're not worthy or that your idea shouldn't be considered. You know, thinking differently and thinking outside the box takes courage, and it takes risk-taking, and it takes creativity and persistence and a lot of different 21st century mindset ideals. So I again think Spectrum did a really great job of demonstrating how at one time things sounded silly, but in reality, someone was able to take those outside the box ideas and put them into a implementable business opportunity.
All right. And I think all of us could probably come up with some, thinking about ways that people have thought out the box, just building on to that whole bank video. Think about Venmo. What a crazy idea that was at one time. Think about Zoom that we're using today. So lots of problems that people can have creative business opportunity ideas to solve those problems. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Robin now.
Okay, thanks. Anybody have any questions before I move on as to like why we're doing this or how it fits into the bigger scheme? Please just either unmute yourself or we are watching the chat box. So we always have in our toolkit sort of a recipe, if you will, for the lesson plan. The first thing is a warm up. The second thing is the main idea. And then the third thing is pitching. So in today's warm up, we're going to do an exercise called Mash Up. And Mash Up is just a really easy, fun way to get your students involved. And I'm actually going to ask Crystal if you could pick something up that you see that's near you, around you. Like if it were me, I'd be picking up my, I've got a pen, I've got my water bottle, I've got a timer, I've got a fidget stick, I've got my phone, I've got like lots of different things just within my reach. Crystal, can you tell us something that's one thing that's in your reach?
I picked up my pen.
A pen. Okay, so everybody remember pen. And how about Michelle? Michelle, can you pick up one other thing that's near you?
Sure, I have an eraser.
A pen and an eraser. So the idea behind mashup is you have to combine these two items, a pen and an eraser, and come up with something new. So I'm going to give you guys like 30 to 40 seconds to each individually think of how can you mush these two items together, a pen and an eraser, and come up with a new product. I'm going to time you guys right now. So just kind of think about it. I'm putting my timer on. Not my calculator. I don't know if you can hear it. It's very soft, but my timer went off. So what I did was I timed you guys for about 20 seconds, only because I was very slow in getting my timer because I went to my calculator first by accident. So who wants to share their idea of mashing up a pen and an eraser? Or rather, yeah, a pen and an eraser. Did anybody come up with anything creative? How can you mush those two together to come up with something new? To help us think a little creatively, thinking outside the box. I know you guys are creative, you're just being shy today. We need one idea and then we can move on. Who can tell me how you can put a pen and an eraser together? Do they go together at all? Okay, well, I have one idea. And I know this exists, but it doesn't exist in a way that's good. So I would want to improve on these pens that you can actually erase the ink. Like usually your pen is permanent, but there are some pens out there that claim that you can erase it. And it hasn't been great, so I would want to improve on that. Oh, and Ladora said a pen that erases instead of writes. I love that. So it's sort of like If you're writing, it's almost like a magic thing that you can go back and erase everything instead of writing, and I love that. So the idea
Good
here.
idea too. Like it could be a pen holder.
Oh, a pen holder. I love that idea too. Absolutely. That's a great idea. It doesn't have to be actually writing it. It can be where you can, get it. So like my pencils are all over the place. I would love to have one place to hold my pen, so you can take your eraser and make it so that it can hold your pen. There's lots of different things that you can do for this. But what's fun about it is you can take ideas that people can grab like we did, or you can say, I'm going to think of something in the kitchen, and next time I'm going to say, for our next mash shop, I'm going to say, Tracy, you think of something that you'll find in the kitchen, and Jason, you think of something that you're going to find in the garage, and mash those two together. So you can do different things like that. The other thing that you can do that I'm going to show you right now, you can play a game. It's called Disruptus. I don't know if anyone has ever played this game, but this game comes with a stack of cards that have pictures on them, a dice, and a timer. And one of the roles of this dice is this idea. And if you roll this idea, then what you have to do is take two cards, and here we have a dinosaur skull and a suitcase. And you have to, in their way, mash these two items together or create from these two items. And the way Disruptus works is they want you to take either the full items or any components of these. So you don't necessarily have to use the whole skull. You could use just the tooth or maybe just the top part of the skull. And for the suitcase, you can use any component of the suitcase. You can use the whole thing, but you could use just the wheel or just the handle or just the material of the suitcase. And you need to create an item using these two ideas in the amount of time that it takes for the timer to go through. And then when you're playing this game, you usually play it with at least 4 people, and one person is the judge. And the judge gets to decide who wins and who doesn't win. And then you continue on. The game itself actually has other ideas, like a wrench. How can you make it better? The judge can decide. How can you disrupt it? Meaning, how can you take these two items and move it up in terms of the overall business idea? So instead of using it for its original purpose here, can your suitcase become a GPS or some other completely different idea? And then it has transforming it up, which means the up sign is also one like, how can you make it or how can you improve it? What can you do to the suitcase to improve it? So Disruptus as a whole is really a strategic way of thinking creatively depending on how you roll the dice. For our purpose in today's mashup, we're going to do the light bulb and pretend that we rolled the light bulb, and we're going to mash these two items together. So I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds again to try to mash these two items together.
I think about that game is you can do it virtually or in person.
Mm-hmm.
Almost out of time.
Okay. Who has an idea of how you can mash up a suitcase and a dinosaur skull? Any components of that? To help us think creatively for when we go on to our main event.
I have an idea. What if you put the teeth on the handle so nobody steals your suitcase?
Great idea. It's a really good idea. What if you take a suitcase full of tools for an archaeological dig? That's really good too. What if you take the material from the suitcase and you turn the skull over and you line it on the inside so that you can make the skull case a plant holder?
Put wheels on it.
Anybody else have any ideas?
What if you put the wheels on the skull to make a scary Halloween item?
Ooh, that you can kind of push down the, yeah, so that it's coming out of nowhere. No one knows where that's coming from. I like it. Any other ideas? Well, if you do, just put them in the chat, but I am going to, move on. We always like to have just a little bit of a warm up, just to start our, thinking creatively. I think it really helps when you're teaching a full hour class, just to sort of have a little time to let go of things and start thinking in a new way. And also, making sure that people realize that it is a safe place and that, no idea is too wacky or too crazy. And, then we can move on. The main event for today is a thing that we call, or a tool that we call the Venn diagram. And the Venn diagram is going to help us look at what we've determined were our problems and help us come up with some solutions. So in the tool book, we definitely separate our problem identification from our business opportunities, which are our solutions. Kelly has taken the problems that we've identified last time and populated into our worksheet these problems. So this is taken directly from our toolkit, and we have worksheets that you can write in, and this is one of them. So just to refresh everyone's memory, last time we asked for you guys to come up with 10 issues that you felt were things that could be improved on in the after school or the out of school sort of space. And the issues that the group came up with were that you would like more time to finish a lesson, more comfortable seating, better lighting. You wanted to be able to control your temperature in your room. You wanted to, I don't want to say lack parent engagement, but that parent engagement is lacking, so you wanted to improve parent engagement. You wanted better technology to be able to engage your students. You wanted lesson plans that excite and, sort of excite and engage, I'm going to say, the students. Someone wanted a better filing system. People wanted the rooms to be laid out in a way that everyone could see. I believe there was one person who couldn't see her students over her computer screens. And that the last thing was you wanted to be able to keep an interest virtually. Like, how do you keep people engaged and interested on Zoom, which is the $1,000,000 question. But we maybe can come up with an answer for that. So in a business opportunity, like both with the two spectrum ideas, they kind of came before their time. And if they would have done this back then, they would have realized that, because the next step that we do is we talk about what skills and resources we have. What are we good at? What do we love? Is there something in general that you're good at? And this doesn't have to have anything to do with the problem or the need. But what we want to do now is, quickly talk about the things that you guys as facilitators are good at and what you like. And it can be both within your work sort of area as well as your personal. So it could be cooking.
How are you doing? Great, you? I'm good.
So I would love to hear, if we can, and Kelly will record it, what we're good at. So if everyone could just tell us one thing that they love, either chat or unmute yourself, and then we can continue. Technology from Justin. Awesome. I love that you're good at technology. I am not. That would not be in my circle, but I think it's great that someone else is. Baking from Shawnette.
Painting.
Painting from Casey. Excellent. Organizing. Photography. Gardening. Listening. Excellent, Jason. Do we have any others? Liz or Kelly, do you want to add anything, or do you want us to work off of this list? Technology, baking, painting, organizing, photography, gardening, listening.
I'm thinking that there's some pretty good teachers out there, wouldn't you think?
Mm-hmm. I would think so. I would think that our teachers are very good at presenting, communicating. Does anybody want to add anything else before we go on to this? Just as a side note, sometimes I will come in and ask the students what they're good at and what they like first, and then go back to reminding them what the problems or the needs are. Or if I do this if I have to take session 1 and session 2 and put it together, I will always do what they're better at than what their problems are first. In this way, it just gets them, I feel like, in a better, more positive mood. Sometimes the students feel like, they get down with like, oh gosh, these things are such big problems and how am I going to solve them? And it makes them kind of get down. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But and preferably you want to separate the problems from the skills. And when I can, I like to put it up like this so that they see that there are two sides and there's something in the middle. The other thing that I want to point out is sometimes there are students who have a business idea already and they're gung-ho. This is what they're going to do for their pitch. They're maybe it's about babysitting or lawn mowing, or a lot of times we'll get like bracelet making or lots of different things. And they have the business idea already. So I go ahead and I put it right in the middle. I let them know that their idea is worthy and it's good and we're going to run with it. But what you have to do here is you have to have something in all of the categories. So regardless of where you start and where you're comfortable starting, you do have to fill in all of these. And if you don't, you're not going to end up having a good, viable business. For instance, I'm recently vegan, and I have identified a problem that there are not enough vegan restaurants. And so my business idea is to open up a vegan restaurant, but I lack the skills in baking and cooking. So my skill category does not meet with the problem or the business idea. And what you're trying to do in this whole Venn diagram idea is to be able to connect the problem or the need with your skills and resources to a business idea. Most of the time you do it in this order, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned that you don't have to do it in this order, as long as all the columns are filled out. So what we're going to do, any questions with that before I go on? Because that's a pretty important thing. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to figure out how we can connect what we're good at and our skills and our resources with fixing a problem or the need. So for instance, there has to be some way that we can combine the technology that we're good at with the problem of the technology of engaging the students and come up with a business idea. Or maybe there's a way that we can combine painting and photography with lessons that excite the kids. Or, and I mean, the ideas here are endless. And what I want to do is throw it back out to you guys to come up with some good business ideas, kind of like a mashup, but not completely a mashup, of how we can connect these. All right, I'm going to do one. I'm going to create, I'm going to have photography and lessons that excite kids to new lessons that are completely fulfilled by photography, meaning there's not going to be a lot of written instructions. It's all going to be using photography to engage the students in creative lessons. So that is going to be my different way. So for instance, if I was doing this, this photography lesson for this particular case, I would not be having Kelly annotate. It would all be done and preconceived with different pictures that I take. Does that make sense? So Kelly, if you could, can you take lessons that excite kids and take that arrow up to the fun and then add another arrow from photography to lessons that excite kids so that we have two arrows pointing into the business idea? How can we combine organizing and better filing system? Anybody out there?
Do you want that like that?
Color-coded folders.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
Color-coded folders.
Color-coded photos, yes. That would be a great way. So I'm sorry, I'm not explaining this. I think it's much easier if you take the lessons, the arrow that goes from the lessons that excite kids, and have the end of the arrow on the F of the fun. And then the technology, and have the end of that arrow to maybe somewhere in that line also, so that you can see you're pulling from the two separate sides. So that those are the two, yeah. Make it a little shorter, there you go. You can make the arrows shorter too if you want, but the idea there is that you can see that you're pulling from technology to lessons that excite kids. And then we're going to do another one that's pulling from better filing system to a line in the business idea column, and then also organizing to that same idea. And we're going to come up with a color-coded way of organizing our files. Maybe it's not just organizing by color. Maybe it's like a whole new system of organizing. I know my kids, they went through the Shaker school system, and at a certain grade, they all got this book, and it taught them how to organize their classes in the Shaker way. I don't even know what the Shaker way is, but they do, and they were able to organize everything and they still use that new system when they're in college. And some of it has to do with color, and some of it has to do with, how they do it, or like they always would take homework and put it into a different filing system. But red was always English and blue was always science or whatever. So it was a combination of both color and a system. Maybe you can come up with a whole new organizing system. So does this make sense to you guys? Can you guys come up with one of your own?
I was looking on the left-hand side, and it said the lack of parent engagement.
Mm-hmm.
I was seeing baking on one side, and maybe if we put a program together that was fun for the parents, like a bake sale or a cake making contest, that would be a good way to communicate with parents. That was a way that was a little bit more fun and an excuse to talk to them.
Love that. Can have your own, what is that? There's a new TV show with the baking. It's a European or an English show. Does anybody watch that one? You could have your own
baking show.
Baking. I love that idea though. And then I thought I saw someone pop up in the chat room. Let me look at that. Whoops. Painting on Zoom with students and parents participating. Love that idea. So the idea here really is that, it can be so many different things. And when you put it like this and you have a strategy for thinking of new ideas that both enable you to look at what your problems are and combine it with the skills that you have, you can come up with a lot of different business ideas. In the course of about 7 minutes, I was trying to time this, we came up with 4 new really good business ideas. And we have to pick one of these so that we can continue. Which one do you guys want to continue with? If not, I'll choose. I'm happy to choose one, but I would love to know. Let's number these. 1 is the bake sale activity. 2 is painting, which isn't up there yet. I know, Kelly, you're a little, just write number 2, painting, and we'll get the arrows drawn in later. 3 is the fun creating photo, and 4 is the color system. And what I'd like you guys all to do is just in a chat storm, get ready to put the number in the chat box that you guys want to continue with. I'll count to 3, and then everybody just put their own number in the chat storm, and whichever is the most, we'll continue with that. 1, 2, 3. So we've got 4, 4, 3, 3. It's going to be a tie, right? 3.
3.
Looks like 3 is going to win. Yeah, it looks like 3 is the winner. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this idea of a fun, creative photo as photography in our lesson plan from here on out. So that's what we're going to work with as our new great business idea. So we've just come up with a great new business idea. Thank you all for participating. And in the future lessons, we're going to use that idea to come up with our pitch. But before I go on, if for some reason you don't like this Venn diagram, or it's doesn't resonate as much with you, just like the mashup exercise, there's different ways to come up with a business idea. I want to mention our Waggy Labs partner. Waggy Labs caters more towards the K-6 kind of age. Kelly, do we have something up for them? Here we go. Waggy Labs really focuses on creating new businesses that create a better society. So it's all sort of like social, it has a social bend to it, so that the students are really creating something that is better for their community. And they have a way to come up with a really good business idea, as does 220 Leadership. They have a passion project, which sort of asks, and they are geared more towards the older student, in the way that Waggy Labs looks at their community sort of as their passion. 220 Leadership looks at passion, a project that is more intrinsic. It could be community, or it could be something that, like, you know, speaks to you, speaks to your heart. They have a spreadsheet also, or a worksheet also. So these are two other ways that you can come up with some ideas, some good business ideas, and, you know, kind of relate them back to the problems that you listed. And then the last way that I want to mention is you can always ask, what makes something worse? How can you make anything right now worse? Like, what could be worse on a Zoom call? And you could say, well, my technology could go out, the doorbell would ring, the dog could bark, you could have a wardrobe malfunction, you know, lots of different things that could make it worse. And then from those ideas that are making it worse, you can figure out how to make your current system better. So those are 4 strategies that we went over today. And next we're going to take these strategies and put it all together. So now we have our idea of, before I go further, did I go too fast on any of those? Is everyone up to speed?
And I just want to mention, Robin, that we have in the Google folder that I created and shared with everybody is that Unleash Your Passion worksheet from Leadership 220, and then also a link to the Waggy Labs website. So you'll be able to access those resources as well.
Excellent. The next thing here is called putting it together. So now that we have our idea of, if I'm saying this correctly, if I remember it correctly, we take our exact idea of the photography, photo shots, I guess I'm going to say, used as lesson plans. Does that summarize what we talked about well? And then what we have to do is take and put this into putting it all together. So our customer here is, you know, sometimes your customer, your target customer, and who's going to be buying it are different people. And in this case, that is the case, because our customer, or who's going to be using it, our customer is in fact teachers and educators, but the people who are going to be using it are the students. So you have to appeal sort of to both, or you have to look at, you know, who are you appealing to? Are you going to be marketing your product directly to the students, or are you going to be marketing your product directly to the educators? And it's something that you want to think about. It can go either way. I like to look at the medicine example, where it used to be pharmaceutical companies would market only to doctors. Now they're marketing directly to the clients. You know, on television, you can't turn on anything without having some medicine being marketed to you. The idea is that you will then go into your doctor and ask for it by name. So, you know, you have to look and see, who are you marketing to and who are we going to market to? And that's something that we need to think about. What is the team? Like, what special qualities do we have that's going to make this a good business? It goes back to the strengths. There was definitely someone who was good at photography. We have to have good communication skills for this. So it's not just, we could go back and actually add that arrow. We don't have to, but we do need good communication skills to be able to do this. And we need good teaching skills. So we have more than just one thing. This is like, who is going to be doing it, and do we have the skills to do it? So in my vegan example is, no, I don't have the skills. So if we don't have the good things in all 4 of these boxes, we're not going to have a good business opportunity. The problem goes back to the Venn diagram, where we were talking about engaging lesson plans for the students. that we've noticed that there were not engaging, there's a high need for engaging lesson plans and creative lesson plans for students. And our solution is really to come up with a visual photography that uses, or lesson plans that use photography, solely photography, and visuals. I'm going to add, only because I'm thinking it through, like we might have to take some icons that are not necessarily like black and white photography or color photography to add to this, to make sure that we actually get our lessons out there. Does anyone have anything that they want to add to this? Because there are things that we can add, and the more information we can put in each one of these squares, the better.
Under team, like other assets might be like a camera, like a good camera, or access to the internet, or a photography archives.
Excellent. Anybody else want to add to this? Okay, we probably will come back in the next lesson plan and expand on this, but I also want to make sure we get to our pitching practice, because each lesson we really should have a chance to give a pitch. So I am going to open it up to let anyone who's ready to give a pitch, either for this particular product, or if they chose number 4, if you want to pitch that, that's okay too. Or if you want to pitch, you know, one of the things from the mashups that we did, you can pitch that also. Do we have anyone who would be willing to give a pitch? Just to round out our lesson plan for today.
Can it be our favorite pizza place?
The more you practice, the better you get at it, as you will be telling your students and your participants in your program. Oh, come on, don't make me pick someone. All right. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people. Hey, Siri, pick a number between 1 and 11.
Number between 1 and 11 is
8. So who is the 8th person on our list here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Tracy, you're the lucky one. You there? Tracy? Does anybody want to give it a shot?
I'll do a quick pitch on the color folders.
Thank you, Ladora.
You're welcome. So being as unorganized as I can be, when I first started this job 3 months ago, I decided for each of the classes I was teaching, I would use a different color folder. And that way I knew immediately when a student from the marketing class called to pull out that folder and be able to talk to them successfully about the marketing class, and not have to just leave through all 120 students to find that particular student's file, which may take me 5 or 10 minutes with my entire skills on alphabetizing, because they don't always go back in the right place, but I can always tell a yellow from a blue from a pink. So using color-coded files is quick, easy access, unless maybe you're colorblind, in order to find those student files in the appropriate spot in a timely manner.
Excellent. Great job.
Thank you.
Really great. And I do think it's important to practice those. That was a really great job. And, you know, every time you do it, you understand more what your product is. You understand what your competitive advantages are. You are able to hone your vocabulary for talking about it a little bit better, and it becomes second nature. So thank you very much, Ladora. Any questions about how to determine if our opportunity is a viable business opportunity? Anything that we went over today? Excellent. Well, we're right on time. Liz, I'm going to turn it back to you. I saved you 3 minutes.
Okay, great. So I just want to close by sharing some resources with you. So again, this is the link to the Young Entrepreneur Pitch Toolkit website where you can register for it and download it. Venture Lab is a partner of ours. They have an excellent free K-12 entrepreneurship curriculum, got lots of great stuff in there. Waggy Labs is that curriculum for the younger students. I think they focus on students ages 8 to 11. Robin has created some videos on how to play different games like Disruptus, and I put that in the Google folder. And then I also put in the Unleash Your Passion worksheet in the Google folder, so you can go and use those as well. So thank you for joining us today. Any last questions or comments? Oh, I do have one more thing I think to share. Let's see. Here's our contact information, but I did want to so our next webinar is November 2nd, and we're going to be using that business idea as our example in creating a pitch using a message map and some other resources that are available through Young Entrepreneur Pitch's toolkit. And then the final session is on November 17th, and that's how to prepare to host a pitch challenge. And again, all these can be done virtually, in person, or in blended environments. If you haven't registered for those webinars, there's a link. You can go and register, and that way I'm sure to send you the Zoom link. And then just back to this slide with our contact information. Thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you the next session.
I also added into the chat box the registration for the Inspire conference. Thank you,
Robin.
Lisa.
Yeah.